It's not December the 1st, so I'm not sure why we're wearing Christmas colors. It's October the 1st. It's Tuesday. So glad you're here. Here's what we're working on this morning. Well, those earning minimum wages in several provinces, including Ontario, will now make more money per hour.
McMaster Children's Hospital will resume tonsil and adenoid surgeries next week after pushing it back in June.
And Pete Rose, Major League Baseball's all-time hit king, has died at the age of 83. Yeah, it's a wonderful Power red suit and my green suit.
I love it.
Yeah.
We just shouldn't have both worn them today.
Today, anyways, because it is the one of the month.
Thank you for my cue.
There we go. I think we missed it last month because it was on a weekend, so we appreciate it being on a Tuesday today. October the 1st.
Yeah, here we are already. Wow.
Okay.
September just flew by.
Yeah, as they generally do. I was having a little peek out the weather window. Tad bit foggy. Couldn't really see anything out the weather window.
Yeah, there's not a lot you can see. Well, I mean, it's not really thick, but it's just enough to be quite misty. Be careful driving this morning. A lot of fog patches. Some areas it's fairly thick. I know in outlying areas where the temperature is just a little bit cooler, the fog can be pretty thick. So, you know, you're looking at that camera. That's our exclusive camera, the 403 and Waterdown Road. You're not seeing an awful lot right there, but up on the higher elevations where we are in the Waterdown area near Clapson's Corners, it's pretty foggy. So be careful this morning. We are looking at cloud cover for the day today, and there's chance of showers. Like it's about a 30% chance of showers, and then greater chance of showers overnight tonight and still lingering into the day tomorrow. Today will be on the mild side, though. We should hit 24 with a humidex of 29, so still on the warm side. We'll talk about the details in the forecast coming up. By the way, we're sitting at 16 right now. Looking at traffic, 403 Waterdown Road, nothing there. Here's the QEW at Nikola Tesla Boulevard, so we're doing okay there. Here's what they call it south of 2. It's right around North Shore Boulevard, looking back at the Skyway Bridge, so Toronto bound towards us, and east of 4th. Burlington into Oakville, even all the way through into Mississauga. We have nothing to talk about this morning, so looking good. We'll look at weather and traffic, of course, coming up. Right now, the news.
All right, thanks, Brian. Well, some people in Ontario are set to get a raise today as the minimum wage is going up. Hey, Sean Cowan is with us this morning live at the Fortinos Plaza in Waterdown with more. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Tim. Well, the minimum wage is going up to $17.20 an hour. That's an increase of 65 cents an hour, up from $16.55 an hour. And this is all due to inflation. Now, Ontario has the second highest minimum wage next to British Columbia. So to break this all down for you, for example, a person making the general minimum wage and working around 40 hours per week will see an annual increase of nearly $2,200. The government says there was almost a million workers earning $16.55 per hour or below in 2022, the majority of whom are women. And the student minimum wage in Ontario is also going up today, and that applies to students who are under the age of 18. That minimum wage is going up to $16.20 an hour. Now, the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses says they've known about this increase since March, and they've been preparing for it.
So the business owner might say to themselves, well, I can't afford this. What am I going to do? Options might be curtailing hours, cutting back on jobs. The business owner might say, hey, I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm going to do more hours myself. And then there's also automation. And automation isn't necessarily always a robot. It could be, for example, automating a payroll process. So all of a sudden, my payroll department is no longer 5 people. I'm going to cut it down to 2 or 3 people.
So Ontario minimum wage going up to $17.20 an hour, just a little bit behind British Columbia. They are at $17.40 an hour. Emily, I will send it back inside to you.
Thanks, Sean. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau visited the Northwest Territories to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation yesterday. There, he signed an agreement on child and family services with the Northwest Territories government and the local Inuit Regional Corporation. The $533 million agreement will support Inuit-led child and family services over 10 years. The federal government says it's the first agreement of its kind and sets a precedent for other Inuit groups to exercise jurisdiction over child and family services.
Now, meanwhile, the federal government is being accused of keeping the truth about residential schools in the dark through funding cuts. Residential school survivors, they say Ottawa is cutting funding for records and ground searches looking for the unmarked graves of children who died at the schools. Now, Ottawa allocated $216 million between 2021 and 2024 to help 146 communities search for remains, and now has allocated $91 million over the next 2 years. Now, Laura Arndt is the lead secretariat looking to uncover the truths about the former Mohawk Institute in Brantford, and says uncovering 150 years of history is not possible with less funding.
Fire investigators are looking into what caused a massive fire in a popular Hamilton arena yesterday. Smoke billowed out of the Wentworth Sports Complex on Main Street West after a Zamboni caught fire in a back room of the building. Crews were called just before 9:30 yesterday morning. Hamilton's fire chief said a portion of the building's roof collapsed and the fire spread to the main building, causing extensive fire damage in one area. The rest of the building suffered smoke damage.
We've lost the roof, we've lost all the surrounding space, 2 Zambonis. The ice technician's vehicle was parked out there, and it's finished. And of course, right now you can't see much. There's just black smoke through everything, from the soccer fields through the ice rinks. All the doors are open and the smoke is just billowing out.
Hamilton fires, the damage is estimated to be more than $1 million. And because of that, the office of the fire marshal has been called in to help determine the cause. McMaster Children's Hospital will resume tonsil and adenoid surgeries next week. The program was paused for several months following the deaths of 2 children who underwent the routine procedures at Mac Kids in May and June. Hamilton Health Sciences says a panel of independent experts conducted a review of its pediatric ear, nose, and throat surgical services for tonsil and adenoid surgeries. The review is now complete, and HHS says the panel did not identify any specific actions, lack of action, quality of care concerns, or system issues that directly or indirectly contributed to the 2 deaths. The procedures will resume on October 7th. HHS is reaching out to families to schedule. The town of Lincoln is warning residents to not consume any coffee that they may have found on the side of the road. The town says several cases of Balzac's coffee were discovered discarded in Beamsville on Friday at points along Mountain View Road, Sand Road, and Locust Lane, and say residents have reportedly picked them up. The town believes these cases came from a truck that was stolen in Milton in February. They can't guarantee that the product has not been tampered with. Anyone who may have found some roadside beans are asked to send photos to the town and Balzac's as they try to locate the stolen truck.
Let's get into Sportsline. Pretty somber day for the sports world on Monday as we lost 2 legendary players in 2 different sports that made their lasting mark on the NBA and Major League Baseball. We start with the all-time hits leader, Pete Rose, who was born on opening day in 1941. He died yesterday in Las Vegas, which turned out to be the last day of the regular season. Despite his 4,256 hits in his 24 seasons with his hometown Reds, Phillies, and the Montreal Expos, he was a polarizing figure. As he was handed a lifetime ban from baseball for betting on games while he played and managed in the late 80s for the Reds. Despite finally admitting that he did bet on baseball later on, the ban was never lifted. And despite his 17 All-Star appearances, 3 batting titles, and fierce work ethic, a man known as Charlie Hustle remains out of Cooperstown's storied halls. Pete Rose was 83. And this followed the sad news earlier in the day of NBA Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo, who died from brain cancer at just 58. The 8-time All-Star, who was one of the most accomplished defensive players of all time, spent 18 years in the league, retired in 2009. The 7'2" native from Congo was one of the first Africans to gain global basketball recognition and was a role model for Raptors president Masai Ujiri. We'll hear from Masai coming up next hour in Sportsline, and Dikembe's connection to this area.
Seattle's got to make a stop. St. Brown's going to throw it back to Goff. Who had that on the bingo card?
Two more Monday night games in the NFL, and Jared Goff had himself one for his Lions in Detroit. He was perfect under center in a win over the previously unbeaten Seattle Seahawks. He set an NFL record completing all 18 of his passes. First time in history a quarterback has had that many without an incompletion. He also caught that touchdown you saw, threw for two himself in the 42-29 win. So the Lions moved to 3-1, and they're showing why they are considered one of the best teams in the league.
To take a direct snap, that's Pollard who comes in motion, fake it to him, and the wrinkle works. And Tennessee.
The other game had two of the worst in the league as the Tennessee Titans took advantage of a struggling Miami Dolphins squad. Despite having their starting QB Will Levis go down with injury, Mason Rudolph he led 7 scoring drives in the 31-12 win for their first win of the season. Both of these teams sit at 3-1.
And Lindor gets under one to center field. Harris going back near the wall, and it's out of here.
Yeah, we had a bonus day of baseball as the New York Mets and Atlanta Braves, they played a doubleheader, with both having a chance to make the postseason with a win each. The Mets, Francisco Lindor, his go-ahead home run late in the game propelled the Mets to the playoffs as they held off the Braves 8-7 to make the postseason and celebrated afterwards. But they still had to play another game. It didn't mean anything for them, but meant everything for Atlanta because a loss would mean they missed the playoffs, but they pulled out a 3-0 win because the other team, well, they were partying after the game. So they head to the dance for the 7th straight season. With everything all set for October, baseball's to start today. Both teams will come out in the field afterwards to celebrate together. 4 wild card games go down today.
Well, at least they came out to play after the party. I mean, they could have said, "No, we're done." Okay, it's coming up on 12 minutes after 6 o'clock. Yep, Tuesday, 1st of October. Looking at traffic this morning, it's just getting a little bit slow already here. The 403 and Waterdown Road, but that's just normal volume starting to build already here. To our MTO traffic cameras, usually start around St. Catharines and then come around the Horseshoe. Here's the QEW and 405, and there's not a lot to see right there. Nikola Tesla Boulevard, Toronto bound towards us on that camera. Now Toronto bound away from us east of Brant. Going to east of Royal Windsor, same conditions here, and the QEW 427 Gardner combination. You can see the Gardner Expressway way in the distance there, doing fine. So we have no problems on the roads. Construction pretty much coming to an end this morning. Let's get to our temperature right now. We're like we were yesterday morning. Same temperature, 16 degrees. However, we do have the fog this morning. It's fairly thick in a lot of areas, not in the city at all. Relative humidity is right up there at 100%. The winds are light. The temperature's around the dew point. So it all combines to get into some fog. So 24 will be the high today, heading off to school, but there's that cloud cover and chance. It's just a 30% chance of showers, but 24 today will feel like 29, so a little stickier today, and we get that southerly flow. Well, it's not very strong. It's actually a bit of a northeast wind at the moment, but that cold front is going to go through, and that's what's going to dip our temperatures and give us the instability, with chance of a shower not only later on today, but tonight and into the early part of the day tomorrow, and then we'll get back to some sunshine. But today, a little bit of sun is possible in some areas. 24 for Niagara, 24 for Hamilton, 22 and 23 for the rest of the Horseshoe. Humidex, as I said, about 29. Tonight, temperatures 11, 12, and 13 around the Horseshoe, a little bit cooler away from the lake, but there's that chance of showers, fairly cloudy. Guelph and Kitchener could even get some thunderstorm activity. And then tomorrow, cooler temperatures after the cold front goes through. We'll see a little bit of sun, but there's that chance of showers in the morning. Temperatures 18 to 20 degrees, 17 for Guelph. So out the door, first morning of October. Oh, we're starting to see change in the colors on the leaves here. It is foggy. It is mild. We're sitting at 16 degrees right now. Long range in a few minutes. Emily, Tim.
Look at those leaves changing in your graphics there, Brian. All right, coming up after the break, we'll say good morning to Emily Vukovic to see what she's got going on in Chit Chat.
And some business news coming. Tens of thousands of dock workers are on strike across the U.S. We'll have details in 2.
There's Emily Vukovic. There's Emily Vukovic.
This needs to be figured out. You know what it is? It's because I don't have a monitor where I can see what's going on. So I'm always like,
Is there tape on the floor below you?
There is, but if I was to stand on the tape, it would be here.
Oh, that's better, actually.
I think the tape is for the 6 p.m. The Trending Now shows, not for us. That's
for another
You
show.
just see like half my face.
Hello.
Hi.
What's going on?
Okay, coming up, we're talking about Charlie Puth, and he's got a very new television show.
How do you say his last name?
Puth.
Puth. Yeah.
Charlie
Puth.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking more details on Oasis coming to North America because it was just announced yesterday. We broke that news. And a little bit later on, top baby names of the year. Did yours make the cut?
Definitely not.
Same.
No.
For the 25th year running. No Tims.
Little spoiler. I was surprised by ours, Emily.
Me
That's
too.
all I'll say.
Me too. I mean, there's two of us in the room. How could it not be the most popular name?
We'll see you at the couch a little bit. Good stuff. All right. Business news, as we always start off with some business numbers. Like our Canadian dollar, it is down to 5 basis points, trading at 73.8 cents U.S. Gold's up more than $6, 26.66 an ounce. Crude oil is down $1.48, 66.69 a barrel. Off to Europe. Hey, Europe. Markets are up in London and Frankfurt, but down slightly in Paris.
And over in Asia, markets saw triple-digit gains across Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. And in North American markets, the TSX gained over 40 points. The Dow added 17, and the NASDAQ is up nearly 70 points.
So U.S. dock workers from Maine to Texas are striking over wages and automation, which could fuel inflation and cause goods shortages if it lasts for weeks.
The ILA is fighting for respect, appreciation, and fairness in a world in which corporations are dead set on replacing hardworking people with automation. Employers push automation under the guise of safety, but it is really about cutting labor costs to increase their already exceptionally high profits.
Yeah, the contract for about 45,000 members of the International Longshoremen's Association, it expired. Despite progress in talks, workers hit the picket lines just after midnight. The strike, it affects 36 ports. And economic analysts, they estimate a one-week strike could cost the U.S. economy more than $2 billion. And depending on the length of the strike, consumers are likely going to see higher prices from retailers nationwide. Now, closer to home, the Hamilton-Oshawa Port Authority, HOPA, told us the biggest potential impact from the U.S. strike is on Canada's East Coast ports and Montreal. Meanwhile, dockers at the Port of Montreal are into day number 2 of a limited strike that they launched yesterday morning. The strike is expected to last until Thursday morning.
TD Bank Group has agreed to pay more than $28 million U.S. after an investigation into the manipulation of a U.S. Treasury market by one of its traders. The deferred prosecution agreement has TD agreeing that a former employee created a false appearance of supply and demand in the market. The agreement says hundreds of so-called spoof orders were placed and then canceled to try and increase the market prices of those products. TD is also soon expected to settle a separate investigation into its anti-money laundering program. The bank expects that will cost it more than $3 billion.
3 tobacco giants have filed for an extension on a stay of legal proceedings against them in Ontario. Court-filed documents, they show JTI McDonald's Corporation, Rothmans, Benson and Hedges, and Imperial Tobacco Canada want the stay of proceedings to remain in place until late next March. The order to put legal proceedings against the tobacco companies on hold was first granted in early 2019 after all 3 lost an appeal in a landmark Quebec case. Companies are looking to negotiate a settlement with creditors in a long-running case involving an order to pay out billions of dollars to some 100,000 smokers and their loved ones.
All right, and that's our business news for this half hour. We're coming back with Brian for a look at the traffic and the 7-day forecast. Of course, some of those leaves are turning, at least in his graphics. I don't know about outside yet.
Coming up on 6:24, there it is on the button on this Tuesday morning, 1st of October. QAW Highway 406 checking traffic. Nothing to see right there. Looks good. Getting slow coming off the Skyway Bridge, going past North Shore Boulevard, trying to get around to Fairview. You can see, it's already stop and go here this morning. East of 4th looks good, so no problems right there. Here's Sheraton, so Toronto-bound lanes coming towards us, heading toward Mississauga Road. We do have one collision. It's in Toronto, but the camera disappeared. That's too bad. There's a collision, the QEW at Dixie going westbound. We've got the right shoulder, right lane blocked. I would have showed you, however. All right, let's get to some of the temperatures that we have right now. Hamilton sitting at 16, like we were yesterday morning. 17 degrees for Grimsby and Mississauga, 19 degrees for Toronto. Seasonal temperatures for this time of year, 7 for the overnight low. So we're on the mild side this morning. 17 for the daytime high. We beat that yesterday. Those are our sun times and our records for today. And yeah, we could get some showers for the day. For school today, we should be 17 degrees for the first bell, fairly cloudy. And then there's that chance of a shower after school. Temperature will be around 23 degrees for after school, but we'll climb to 24 for the day today with that chance of showers. Down to 12 tonight. We'll get showers throughout the evening and the overnight. Tomorrow we'll get back into a bit of sunshine, sun clouds, but chance of showers in 18. Sunny and 22 Thursday. Looks like it's going to start to get fairly cloudy as we get into Friday, but Saturday looks beautiful. Sunday, cloud cover starts to roll in to wrap up our first weekend in October. That's your forecast. Emily, Tim.
All right, thanks, Brian. Let's wrap up the half hour with some Teletubby talk, because they're back. If you weren't sure, you have no idea who the Teletubbies are. Well, there they are. They're spreading joy and inclusivity through a traveling international art project instead of television screens.
Their first stop is in London, where a Soho gallery is transformed to celebrate Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Lala, and Poe. 13 artists from around the world have taken inspiration from the characters. Teletubbies, a British children's television show. You're seeing it now. That's the beginning of the show. At first, it screens 1997, and their popularity has not faded, even after nearly 3 decades. So you're saying maybe they're a little scary looking.
Yeah, a little kind of freaky looking.
I think the baby son is objectively a little freakier than the Teletubbies.
Did this ever enter your household at all?
Definitely, 1997. So I'm born in 1998. So this would have been right in the right era for me. Yeah.
We missed that with our kids.
Fair.
Thankfully. But there was other things.
I'm sure there's other equally freaky things that you deal with.
Some things are getting better. You know what's great? You know what's great right now for kids? Bluey. Have you ever heard of Bluey?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic.
All right.
It's one of those where parents can laugh along with their kids. It's awesome.
I'll look into it. All right.
Half hour down. Lots more to come on this, the first day of October. We'll see you in a couple minutes.